Hello everyone, myself Dr. Mohammad Aamir, Senior Lecturer Department of Periodontics at BBDCODS, BBD University. Today I'll be discussing with you all classification of periodontal diseases, and the discussion will take place in chronological order as and when which classification was introduced and up till the latest classification which was introduced by AAP in 2017. Classification is a systematic arrangement of groups that possess common attributes. The arrangement is such which provides insight into relationship between the groups and in between members of the same group. Classification is necessary to separate conditions into distinct categories so as to aid clinical and laboratory diagnosis and specific treatments. A system of classifying or grouping pathological process affecting the periodontium serves to identify the cause and to facilitate its communication among clinicians, students, and epidemiologists. The purpose of the classification system was to communicate the findings between the dental healthcare providers, presenting an information about the patient to the patient about his or her disease, formulating an individualized treatment plan which is valid at a universal platform, and predicting treatment outcomes. Now coming on to the first in the chronological order, that is the dominant paradigm. It was divided into three paradigms, which was highly influenced according to the clinical or the various type of practices which were prevalent in those era. First of which was clinical characteristics paradigm. This was was based on the clinical characteristics supplemented by unsubstantiated theories about their cause. It ranged for another 50 years from 1970 to 1870 to 1920. Classical pathology paradigm, it ranged from 1920 to 1970. This was highly influenced by general pathology principles, which included disease categories labeled as dystrophic, atrophic, and or degenerative. Infection host paradigm, it started in 1970 and is still continuing at present. It was highly dominated by the infection or host response paradigm. In between these three eras, four classifications were given in 1928 by Gottlieb, 1940 by Box, 1977 by Schlager et al., and 1982 by Page and Schroeder. Coming on to AAP classification given by World Workshop in Clinical Periodontics in 1989. This had five categories: adult periodontitis, early periodontitis, periodontitis associated with systemic diseases, necrotizing periodontitis, and refractory periodontitis. This classification was a refinement of one that was proposed by Page and Schroeder in 1982. This classification was based on infection host-response paradigm, depended heavily on the age of the affected patient, rate of progression, host factors, and response to the conventional therapy. But it had few drawbacks as it didn't include gingivitis or gingival disease categories. Periodontitis category had non-validated the age-dependent criteria. There was extensive crossover in rates of progression of the different categories of periodontitis. Rapidly progressive periodontitis was a heterogeneous category. There was extensive overlap in the clinical characteristics of different categories of periodontitis. Refractory periodontitis and pre-pubertal periodontitis was a heterogeneous category. Finally, the different forms of periodontitis proposed in the classification shared many microbiological and post-response features, which suggested extensive overlap and heterogeneity among these categories. After that, in 1993, a European workshop periodontology introduced another classification to cover up the drawbacks of the 1989 classification. It was as following: adult periodontitis, early onset periodontitis, necrotizing periodontitis. This classification lacked adequate categorization of broad spectrum of periodontal diseases. Moreover, gingival disease were not at all included. Finally, in 1999, International Workshop for Classification of Periodontal Diseases gave another classification, and this will be the prime focus of this lecture. It has few major main categories. First was classification of periodontal diseases and conditions, which was divided into 8 subcategories. First was gingival diseases, which was either plaque or non-plaque induced. Then second was chronic periodontitis, which was either localized or generalized. Third was aggressive periodontitis, which was again either localized or generalized. Fourth was periodontitis as a manifestation of systemic diseases. Fifth was necrotizing periodontal diseases, which was either ulcerative gingivitis or ulcerative periodontitis. Sixth was abscesses of periodontium, which was either gingival, periodontal, or pericoronal. Seventh was periodontitis associated with endodontic lesions. It can be either endodontic periodontal lesions or periodontal endodontic lesions or combined form. Lastly, eighth one was developmental or acquired deformities and conditions, which was either localized mucogingival deformities and conditions or mucogingival deformities and conditions on edentulous ridge and occlusal trauma. Now, the second major category was gingival diseases. This was again divided into two main categories. First was dental plaque-induced gingival diseases. These diseases may occur on periodontium with no attachment loss or with one or more attachment loss that is stable and not progressing. It had gingivitis associated with dental plaque only, which was with or without local contributing factors. Second was gingival disease modified by systemic factors. Either due to associated with endocrine system like in puberty, menstrual cycle, pregnancy, or diabetes mellitus, or it can be associated with blood dyscrasias like leukemia and other blood disorders. Third one was gingival diseases modified by medications of like drug-influenced gingival diseases, drug-influenced gingival enlargement, drug-influenced gingivitis. Fourth one was gingival diseases modified by malnutrition due to ascorbic acid deficiency, gingivitis, or other nutritional deficiency gingival diseases. The second major category was non-plaque induced gingival diseases. First was gingival disease of specific bacterial origin. And second was gingival disease of viral origin, like herpes virus or any other viral infection. Third was gingival diseases of fungal origin, like candida, linear gingival erythema, histoplasmosis, and other. Fourth was gingival diseases of genetic origin, like hereditary gingival fibromatosis and other genetic disorders. Fifth was gingival manifestation of systemic conditions. First was mucocutaneous lesions, lichen planus, pemphigoid, pemphigus, vulgaris, erythema multiforme, lupus erythematosus, drug-induced, other. B is allergic reaction like dental restorative materials, allergy due to mercury, nickel, acrylic, others. Second was reactions attributable to toothpaste or dentifrices, mouth rinses, chewing gum, food, and other additives. And third was other categories. Sixth was traumatic lesions due to chemical or physical or thermal injury. Seventh was foreign body reactions. Eighth was not otherwise specified. Developmental or acquired deformities and conditions. It had 4 categories. First was developmental or acquired deformities and conditions, which was localized tooth-related factors that modify or predispose the plaque-induced gingival diseases. Tooth anatomic factors, dental restorations or appliances, root fractures, cervical root resorptions, and cemental tears. Mucogingival deformities and conditions like gingival or soft tissue recession. Second is lack of keratinized gingiva. Third is decreased vestibular depth. Fourth is aberrant frenum or muscle position. Fifth is gingival axis like pseudo pocket, inconsistent gingival margin, excessive gingival display, gingival enlargement, or abnormal color. Third is mucogingival deformities and conditions on edentulous ridges. First is vertical or horizontal ridge deficiency. Second is lack of gingival or keratinized tissue. Third is gingival or soft tissue enlargement. Fourth is aberrant frenal or muscle position. Fifth is decreased vestibular depth. Sixth is abnormal color. And last category is occlusal trauma, which includes primary occlusal trauma or secondary occlusal trauma. The main features of 99 classification was that gingival diseases were included in this classification. Term adult periodontitis was replaced by chronic periodontitis, elimination of rapidly progressive periodontitis and refractory periodontitis. The term early onset periodontitis was replaced by aggressive periodontitis, while juvenile periodontitis was replaced by localized or generalized aggressive periodontitis. Term aggressive was added because bone and tissue destruction occurs rapidly as compared to other periodontitis. A new classification group of periodontitis as a manifestation of systemic diseases has been created, and this includes those cases of prepubertal periodontitis directly resulting from known systemic diseases. There is also a new group of categories of abscess of periodontium, periodontic, endodontic lesions, and developmental or acquired deformity conditions have also been included. Now coming on to the 2017 AAP classification, which has been the recent one, and it has following 4 categories. First is periodontal health gingival diseases and conditions. Second is periodontitis. Third is other conditions affecting the periodontium. And final one is peri-implant diseases and conditions. Now the main feature of its improvement over the 99 classification are as follows. First is a classification of periodontal disease and conditions has been changed to classification of periodontal and peri-implant diseases and conditions. The difference between presence of gingival inflammation at one or more site and the definition of a gingivitis case are explained. Whole new classification of periodontitis is introduced. Now periodontitis is classified as a necrotizing periodontal disease, periodontitis as a manifestation of systemic disease, and periodontitis. The forms of periodontitis previously recognized in the 99 classification as chronic or aggressive are now grouped under single category, that is periodontitis. So chronic and aggressive periodontitis have been removed. Periodontitis is further classified on the basis of its stages, extent and distribution, and grades. The modern recession classification of based on the interdental cal measurement has been proposed by Caro et al. It has 3 types of recession types, that is 1, 2, and 3. Occlusal trauma and traumatic occlusal forces. The traumatic occlusal forces, replacing the term excessive occlusal trauma, is the force that exceeds the adaptive capacity of the periodontium and or the tooth. Prosthesis and teeth related factors are term biological width was replaced by supracrestal attached tissue. Changes in the classification of periodontal development and acquired deformities and condition. The mucogingival conditions are a new classification of gingival recession that combines clinical parameters, including the gingival phenotype, as well as characteristics of the exposed root surface, as has been proposed. The term periodontal biotype was replaced by periodontal phenotype. The new classification of peri-implant diseases and conditions. The peri-implant health is characterized by an absence of visual signs of inflammation and bleeding on probing. Peri-implant mucositis is characterized by bleeding on probing and visual signs of inflammation. Peri-implantitis was defined as plaque-associated pathologic conditions occurring in the tissue around the dental implant, characterized by inflammation on the peri-implant mucosa and subsequent progressive loss of supporting bone. And lastly, peri-implant soft and hard tissue deficiencies. So I hope this has made the lecture quite clear, and the prime focus for you all people is the 99 classification up till now, and thank you.